When was the last time you did something fear told you not to do? Think about it, because the distance between your life right now and the life you actually want, that distance has one name: fear. Not bad luck, not missing talent, not the wrong connections. Fear. And until you learn to move while it's in the room, not after it leaves, not when you feel ready, nothing changes. Nothing. Most people think fear is the enemy. They are wrong. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a messenger. And like every messenger that has ever walked into a room uninvited, you have two choices. You listen to what it has to say, take note, and then dismiss it. Or you let it sit at your table, eat your food, and make decisions on your behalf. The majority of people let fear sit at the table. Here is what nobody teaches you. Fear was never designed to stop you. It was designed to inform you. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a bear in the woods and a difficult conversation with your boss. It fires the same signal. The problem isn't the signal. The problem is that you've been treating every signal like it means retreat. Thomas Shelby never retreated from a signal. He processed it. He used it. He turned it into intelligence. When fear showed up, he didn't flinch. He leaned in, not because he wasn't afraid, but because he had built an internal architecture where fear had no authority over action. That's the first thing you need to understand. Fear and action are not opposites. They can coexist. The fearless man is not the man who feels nothing. He is the man who moves anyway. Now think about your own life. Where are you letting fear sit at the table? Where is it making decisions that should be yours to make? Your career, your relationships, your creative work, your ambitions. Somewhere in each of those rooms, fear pulled up a chair, and somewhere along the way you stopped noticing it was there. The architecture of a fearless mind is not built in a moment of inspiration. It is built through deliberate, repeated decisions to act in the presence of fear, not after it leaves, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect. Now, in the middle of the discomfort, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the middle of the storm, you don't wait for the storm to pass. You learn to function inside it. That is where the building begins. Not in calm, not in comfort, in chaos, in pressure, in the very conditions that make everyone else stop. That is where you start. The modern world has a specific agenda. It wants your attention. Every second of every day, something or someone is competing for the real estate inside your head, your phone, your social feed, the opinions of people who have never built anything, the noise of a culture obsessed with being seen rather than being effective. And here is what that noise does. It fragments you. It turns a focused, capable human being into a scattered, reactive one. You stop thinking in straight lines. You start thinking in circles. You wake up, consume other people's content, absorb other people's anxiety, inherit other people's narratives, and then wonder why you feel like you have no direction. Thomas Shelby operated in a world of noise. Birmingham in the 1920s was not a quiet place. Gangsters, politicians, police, rivals, all pulling in different directions, all demanding his attention, all trying to get inside his head. And what did he do? He filtered, ruthlessly. He decided what mattered and what didn't. He decided whose voice deserved a response and whose didn't. He didn't attend every argument he was invited to. You need to learn that. You do not need to respond to every provocation. You do not need to engage with every opinion. You do not need to be visible on every platform, in every conversation, at every table. That is not strength. That is noise mistaken for productivity. Real focus is violent in its selectivity. It cuts, it eliminates. It says no to 100 things, so it can say yes to the one thing that actually matters. Right now, you are saying yes to too many things. You are letting too many voices into the room. You are giving your energy, which is finite, which is precious, which is the only real currency you have, to things that return nothing. Stop, cut, filter, decide what you are building, decide what that requires. Eliminate everything that doesn't serve it. Not gradually, not eventually. Now. The people who change their lives are not the ones who add more. They are the ones who subtract ruthlessly. They create space. They create silence. And inside that silence, clarity appears. And clarity is the one thing fear cannot survive. Build that silence. Protect it like it's your only asset, because it is. Everything changes the moment you stop describing yourself and start deciding yourself. Most people walk through life as a collection of descriptions. I am anxious. I am not disciplined. I am the kind of person who quits. I am not built for that kind of success. These are not observations. These are decisions dressed up as observations. And every single day you repeat them, you are reinforcing an identity that works against you. Thomas Shelby did not describe himself by his circumstances. He had every reason to. He came from poverty. He came from a family that society had written off. He walked through a war that broke men stronger than him. He had the kind of trauma that most people use as a permanent excuse. But he never let his circumstances narrate him. He narrated himself. That is the difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck. Not talent, not opportunity, not luck. Narration, the story you tell about yourself determines the version of yourself you inhabit. Change the story. You change the person. And this is not motivational fluff. This is neuroscience. Your brain is a prediction machine. It builds models of who you are based on evidence you give it. And then it runs your behavior through that model. If your model says, I am someone who gives up, your brain will manufacture 1,000 unconscious reasons to give up, and it will do it so seamlessly that it will feel like a rational decision. You need to break the model. You do not break it with affirmations. You do not break it with journaling alone. You break it with behavior. Specifically, small, consistent, repeated behaviors that contradict the old identity and build evidence for the new one. Every time you act like the person you are becoming, rather than the person you've been, you are laying one more brick in a new architecture. The shift is not dramatic. It is quiet. It happens in small moments. The moment you choose discipline over comfort, the moment you speak when fear says stay silent, the moment you show up when the old version of you would have cancelled. Those moments are where the identity is rewritten. Here is the exercise. Right now, decide who you are becoming, not who you want to be, not who you hope to be, who you are becoming. Present tense, active tense, active tense. Then ask one question every single morning. What would that person do today? And do it, not most days, every day, without negotiation. Thomas Shelby didn't wait for the world to recognize who he was. He decided who he was, and then he made every move from that decision. The world eventually caught up. The world will catch up to you too, but only if you stop waiting for permission to become who you already know you need to be. Decide now, today, not tomorrow. Chaos loves a reactive person, and the world is full of chaos. Personal chaos, personal chaos. The chaos of other people's emotions landing on your doorstep. The chaos of uncertainty and change in circumstances you didn't plan for. Chaos doesn't ask for a good time. It arrives uninvited and it watches. It watches to see how you respond. Most people respond with more chaos, panic, reactivity, emotional flooding. They let what's happening outside determine what's happening inside. And when your inside is determined by your outside, you have no foundation. You are a boat in a storm with no anchor. Thomas Shelby was the anchor. In every room he entered, in every crisis that erupted around him, the thing people noticed first was his stillness. Not passivity, stillness. There is a difference. Passivity is absence. Stillness is presence under pressure. It is the ability to slow time inside your own head while everything outside accelerates. And it is a discipline. It does not come naturally to most people. It has to be built. The way you build it is through practice. Specifically, the practice of pausing before responding. One breath, 1 second, one deliberate choice not to react from the most emotionally charged part of yourself. That pause is where your power lives. That pause is the distance between being controlled by the moment and controlling the moment. Start practicing it in small situations. The frustrating email, the irritating comment, the unexpected setback. Before you respond, pause. Let the emotional wave arrive. Let it peak. And then from a place of stillness. Decide how you want to engage. Over time, that pause becomes automatic. Over time, your default setting shifts from reactive to composed. And composed people are terrifying to chaos, because chaos feeds on reaction, and you stopped feeding it. In every high-pressure situation in your life, your relationships, your work, your leadership, your composure is your greatest weapon. Not your intelligence, not your resources, your stillness. The man in the room who's most still is almost always the most powerful, because everyone else is being moved by the situation and he is moving with intention. Be still, be deliberate, be the anchor. Blame is the most expensive habit a human being can have, and almost everyone is addicted to it. Blame the economy, blame your upbringing, blame your boss, blame the system, blame timing, blame the people who didn't believe in you, blame the opportunities you weren't given. The list is infinite, and the list is comfortable, because as long as something outside you is responsible for your life, you don't have to do anything hard. But comfort and growth cannot coexist. They are biologically incompatible. Thomas Shelby did not blame, not because his life gave him no reason to. It gave him every reason in the world, but he understood at an instinctive level that the moment you assign responsibility for your life to something outside your control, you forfeit your power completely, irrevocably. The person you are blaming becomes more powerful than you. The circumstance you are pointing at becomes larger than you, and you become small. Ruthless self-accountability is the exact opposite of smallness. It says, regardless of what happened, regardless of who did what, regardless of the conditions I was handed, this is my life and I am responsible for it. Every outcome, every result, every missed opportunity, not as a form of self-punishment, but as a declaration of agency. You cannot change what you don't own. The moment you own it, truly, completely, without qualification, you can change it. That is the mechanics of it. Start today. Look at the area of your life that isn't working. The relationship, the finances, the career, the health. Stop looking for the external cause. Ask, what did I do or not do that contributed to this? And then ask, what will I do differently? That's it. That's the entire practice. Own it, change it, move. No lengthy analysis, no emotional processing spiral, no revisiting the same wound for the 10th year in a row. Own it and move. The people who transform their lives share one characteristic above everything else. They decided to stop explaining their past and start engineering their future. The past is information. It is not a sentence. Stop living in it like it's a courtroom and you're waiting for a verdict. The verdict is yours to write. Write it. Ambition without structure is just restlessness, and most people who claim to be ambitious are actually just restless. They want more, but they don't know what more means. They want success, but they haven't defined what success looks like in concrete, measurable, specific terms. They chase the feeling of progress without building the architecture of it, and then they wonder why they've been moving for years without actually arriving anywhere. Controlled ambition is different. It is specific. It is strategic. It is patient in a way that is almost indistinguishable from ruthlessness, because it will sacrifice the short term without hesitation for the long-term objective. Watch how Thomas Shelby operated. He didn't want everything. He wanted specific things. And every move he made, every alliance, every risk, every sacrifice, was calculated against a clear end goal. He didn't chase opportunities randomly. He created them deliberately. He always knew the next 3 moves, not just the next one. 3. That is how you need to think. Right now, most people are thinking 1 move ahead. I need to make more money. I'll take an extra shift. 1 move. No architecture. No strategy. No vision that extends beyond next week. And without that extended vision, you are reactive by default. Because you have no direction of your own, so you respond to everyone else's. Set the vision. 18 months, 3 years, 5 years. Where are you going? Not vaguely, specifically. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does a Tuesday morning look like in that life? Now reverse engineer it. What needs to happen in year 3 for year 5 to occur? What needs to happen this year for year 3 to be possible? What needs to happen this quarter, this month, this week, today? That's your map. Now execute it. Relentlessly, patiently, without the need for external validation at every checkpoint. Ambition that requires applause at every step will not survive the long road, because the long road has stretches where no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one believes in what you're building except you. Those stretches reveal everything, and the people who come out the other side of them are the ones who built their ambition on internal conviction rather than external approval. Build it that way, or don't build it at all. You have arrived at the part where everything either clicks or doesn't, because this is the part where most people read, nod, feel temporarily inspired, and then go back to exactly what they were doing before. The information doesn't fail them, they fail the information. They consume it and don't apply it. And consumption without application is just sophisticated procrastination, wearing the costume of self-improvement. So, let's be direct about what it actually takes to build the version of yourself that fear cannot touch. It takes repetition over inspiration. Inspiration is the spark. Repetition is the fire. You cannot build anything lasting on a spark alone. You need the daily, unglamorous, often boring practice of showing up and doing the work, especially on the days when you don't feel like it, especially on the days when it seems pointless, especially on the days when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels impossible. Those days are not obstacles, they are the training. They are the specific conditions under which the version of yourself that fear cannot touch is being built. Not in the peak moments, not in the inspired moments. In the ordinary, difficult, resistant moments. Thomas Shelby was not made by his victories. He was made by what he did when there were no victories, when the plan failed, when the ally turned enemy, when the odds were completely against him. He kept moving, he kept calculating, he kept building, not because it was easy, because he had decided that stopping was not an option. You need to make that decision, not as a feeling, as a commitment. Feelings change, commitments don't. When you operate from commitment rather than feeling, you remove the question of whether you're going to show up. You just show up. The question was answered before you woke up. Now, the specific version of yourself that fear cannot touch is not a fearless person. We have established this. It is a person who has developed such an unshakable relationship with their own identity, their own values and their own direction, that fear becomes irrelevant to the equation. It shows up, you acknowledge it, you move anyway. That relationship is built through the 5 things we have covered. Architectural thinking about fear, ruthless noise elimination, deliberate identity reconstruction, the discipline of stillness, radical self-accountability, controlled, structured ambition. These are not separate practices. They are one system. Each reinforces the others. Each makes the others stronger, and together they build a human being who is, in the truest sense of the phrase, unmovable, not unfeeling, unmovable. Start where you are, not where you wish you were, not where you plan to be, where you are, with what you have, today. One brick, one decision, one step in the direction of that version of yourself, then another, then another, then another. Without stopping. That is how it is built. That is the only way it is built. Thomas Shelby did not find himself. He forged himself in fire, in pressure, in the refusal to be anything less than what he decided to be. You have that same capacity. Every single one of you reading this. The version of you that fear cannot touch is not a fantasy. It is a construction project. And the materials are already inside you. Your decisions, your discipline, your willingness to move when everything says stop. The world does not give you that version of yourself. You build it. Start building right now, not tomorrow, now.